My name is Dorothy Hancock, and my home gallery is the Topeka Art Guild Gallery. I grew up in northeastern Oklahoma on the Cherokee Reservation and had no art at all as a child. Went to country parochial school, so the only art we ever had was on Fridays we'd get a piece of paper and we could draw something. I usually copied a symbol out of the catechism. Music, always music. That was my first love. I would have gone into it, but a lot of circumstances happened and I didn't, but it's always what inspires me the most. I actually had a painting that spoke to me in a Mozart concerto that wouldn't leave me alone until I finally painted it. The same tune just kept being in my head all the time, over and over and over, and I didn't even know what it was. I mean, all those classical pieces, they're named concerto number so-and-so, and you can't remember the title. So I asked my choral director, I sang in choirs many places and many years. Well, I actually called and talked to his wife, and she knew what it was, and so when I found out it was Mozart, I went, to his pieces and listened for it. So once I got a recording that I checked out from the library, I just kept playing it over and over, just phrase at a time, until I got something. I made a large canvas out of it. And I still kind of like it, but I've exhibited it here too, and I had a little MP3 so people could hear the recording, but it didn't work very well, and I couldn't leave it on all the time because the battery would wear out, so that didn't really work. But anyway, I was satisfied, and when I finally got it done, that song didn't roll through my head all the time anymore.
So it was like a relief.
Yeah.
What kind of different mediums do you like to work with?
Well, I started out making jewelry, just using semi-precious stones, and I polished a lot of my own stones, and I did my own soldering work. I still make jewelry, but I've sold my machines and my torches, so I don't really do that anymore. But then when I turned 65, I started taking classes for free at Washburn, auditing them. And I started with oil, and then I took watercolor, and then I took drawing, and then I took design, and then I took history of art. So I did everything exactly backwards from what you ought to do. But it didn't matter because I wasn't getting a degree anyway. I didn't need a degree. I was retired, and so I took classes for at least 10 years, really, until COVID came along and put a stop to that one, and I've just not gone back since. But learned a lot in those years and just really enjoyed it. So I do all those mediums, plus I learned from one of our other members how to do picture-pieced quilting. And then mosaics just came because I like to do that sort of thing, and I taught myself.
Tell us about the mosaic piece that you have at the Art Gallery Vacation.
I had made a couple of other great seals of Kansas, smaller versions, and they sold immediately. And so this one I made a little bit larger. Process is pretty much the same. It takes several weeks. I can only do it in the summer when I'm out on my patio, because when you cut those little pieces, it doesn't matter whether they're ceramics or glass or whatever, they just fly everywhere, so I have to do it outdoors. And I love it because I can hear all the birds in my backyard, and it's just fun to, it's like a 3D jigsaw puzzle, only I make it up.
Tell me about some of the other mosaics you created.
Well, I've got one on the wall up here behind me. the yin-yang symbol. And I did one once that I needed to fit the theme of a show here at the gallery, which was a Kansas theme. And I had made an abstract, just following some flowing lines, not really having any pattern in mind at all, just gluing pieces down. But when I got done, it looked kind of like a dragon. And lo and behold, I found out that there is a dragon spirit called Asturinian. And I thought, well, that's kind of fitting. I can call that Ad Aspera per Aspirinian, which is kind of a do-over of the Kansas motto of Ad Astra per Aspera, or whatever it is, to the stars with difficulty. Only so this was to the stars through the spirit of change, which is what Asturinian is. That dragon is the spirit of change.
What do you know about the history of the gallery itself?
Well, it was started in 1916, and for many years they just had traveling shows coming through, and they supported each other in their talents, in their learning, and a lot of those people were able to go to Europe and study. And so I'm not sure what year they started having a gallery. I think it was late 70s or early 80s, I believe.
What is it? What is your role?
I am head of the hanging committee. Yeah, it's so much fun. I don't even want to do any of the other things. I just love hanging. It's my favorite thing.
And
Favorite job here. We have some really great artists here. We have had people who are art teachers, so I mean, they're professional artists. Some of the watercolorists just amaze me. Actually, the students, we show the high school artists every month throughout the school year, and then during the summer we show the scholarship winners. And those kids just have so much talent and imagination. It's always fun to see what they bring in. Now, through the years, you know, when my kids were little, I would paint things around the house. Like we built them a sandbox that had a little playhouse up on the top of it, and I painted all of that. You know, it was wood. Things like that I would do around the house, but hadn't painted pictures at all until I took those classes. So I learned a lot in a very short time. I highly recommend, you know, they've changed it from 65 to 55. So once you're over 55, you can take those any classes at Washburn for free. And
through art history that you studied, inspired you?
I like the Impressionists most, I think, yes. The more modern things don't appeal to me at all. In fact, I almost get angry when I see a big block of black and it's got a red square in the middle of it and maybe a white square, and you know, they get hundreds of thousands of dollars for that, and I think somewhere I'm missing the boat. I guess there's art there, but I don't see it. I like pretty. It needs to leave me thinking. You know, if it's a person or people in the painting, I like seeing really ordinary people. There's a painter I really like, the Gleaners was one of his famous ones. But ordinary people just doing ordinary things, but there's something about the way it's framed that just makes you stop and look, because you can feel what they're feeling. Yeah, I want to be inspired.
Yeah.
I do have a website. It is centeroftherainbow.com. I started that because I do several other things as well. I do sound healing with tuning forks, some other energy modalities. So those are on there, but you can find all of my art. I try to keep it up to date. I don't do a whole lot with my website, but when I have new art, I do try to get them on there. And I've exhibited in a few other places around town now and then.
Time and for letting our guests get to know you.
Thank you.